And welcome everybody to the Fall Boys podcast, guys. Today, Overreaction Tuesday, guys. Heading into week number 7 now, and we got some power rankings going on. You already know how it is. I'm Trevor Berrigan, alongside my co-hosts, the dashing Stephen Wheeler, the legendary Zach Ibarra. Guys, how you doing today?
Pleasure to be with you, Trevor.
Doing great.
Doing great? Awesome. So, you know, it's that time in the show where, that time of the week, that time of the show, where now we're heading straight into power rankings. Guys, it's my week now. Oh, yeah. You know what that means right now.
Yes, we do.
And boy, do I have an interesting list for you guys.
Is that so?
Oh, there's gonna be some fits being thrown right now. Okay. I'm letting you guys know right now.
Well, let's hear it.
All right. It's coming in, guys. Can we get the top 10 music? Top 10 music? All right. Let's go. All right, guys. Coming in at number 10 in the NFL Power Rankings, I have the Chicago Bears.
Whoa.
Dude.
All right. You want me to hear it? All right? You ready for this, guys?
No, I don't want to hear you.
You don't want to hear me out at all? This guy over here, man. Come on. All right, so here's the reality of the situation, right? The Bears are a top 5 defense in the league. That is non-negotiable.
Yeah, that's fair to say.
That is non-negotiable, okay? They're getting there with their pass rush. They're getting there. Their secondary has been one of the better ones in the league.
Why they're winning,
yeah, okay? Caleb Williams looks like he's finally starting to pick up the NFL game right now. Mm-hmm. All right? He played probably his best game in London against the Jaguars. Threw for 4 touchdowns, 226 yards. He's looked better every week. So, to be quite honest, like, if they're going... Listen, I'm getting to the point where they could face any of the people on this list. Here's my thing. My definition of the top 10 teams, if you're a top 10 team, if on any given weekend you're able to beat 1 through 9. That's the reality of the situation.
The problem is...
I'm not saying based off talent. I'm saying based off actual, like the way that you're playing, whether you're hot or not. Go ahead, Steve.
That's awesome and all. They've beaten the Panthers and the Jaguars,
yes.
And those are Caleb Williams' best games against 2 of the worst teams in the league.
But listen, sitting here today, can you or can you not tell me that Caleb Williams has looked better every single week?
No, but those are, again, against 2 of the worst defenses in the league.
And listen, you're valid in that. But what I'm saying, right, is if he continues this trajectory where he's getting more and more confident, by the time he does face those teams in his division, which, by the way, the NFC North is a freaking bloodbath right now.
Exactly.
Okay?
Do you really think they're going to make it out of there?
Well, listen, all I know is that by the time that he actually has to play those teams in the division, it'll be week 11. He'll have 10 games under his belt. I would not be surprised.
Right now.
He has
a Detroit Lions.
Let me put it to you this way.
And
Let me put it to you this way. On this current trajectory, he has the ability to beat any of those teams. But even if he doesn't, I trust their defense enough to at least carry him along the way.
But again, the defense you're talking about is going up those same sucky teams.
Exactly.
Let's be real.
Okay.
So that kind of negates, that standing. I feel like just based on that.
Well, and I hear you out. But the reality of the situation is that
you could have picked
they're playing better and better. They're playing better and better every week. I trust the Chicago Bears right now. They're my number 10 team.
All right. This is the weakest 10.
All right. Coming into number 9, you guys are going to call me a homer. I'm picking the San Francisco 49ers.
I'm surprised you didn't have them higher, to be honest.
I'm surprised, too, just because you love them. And also because you're missing McCaffrey.
The reality is you can't be that inconsistent in the red zone and be higher than 9.
That's fair.
Hopefully, if they do get McCaffrey back, which they are talking about opening up the practice window for that should help him out in the red zone. I would count on that. I would count on them being a much better team, especially in that area. If he is back, if he's not, I feel like the more that they play without him, the more that they finally get no rhythm offensively.
And what's the word on McCaffrey? When is he coming back?
Like I said, they're in talks of opening the practice window next week. They already ruled him out for this week, but every week they're ramping up the rehab process. So they're really banking on him coming back this year. In terms of Purdy, I think Purdy's been playing the best ball of his career. I think he's been spreading out a lot of those targets. Kittle's starting to get hot. You saw Ayuk had a really big game last week against Arizona. Yeah. So I mean, you can't have that many weapons. Talk about Fred Warner, who's probably a front runner for Defensive Player of the Year right now.
Behind TJ Watt, but of course.
Well, we could agree to disagree.
The Steelers.
You know what? If I'm going to be a homer, I guess you could be a homer too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at that point. And honestly, like, Listen, 3-3, slow start, but you can't look me in the you can't look me in the eyes right now and say that the Niners can't beat any of these teams that I'm about to list off for the remainder of the top 8.
Okay, let's see.
Niners are my number 9. Coming in at number 8. All right, guys, another bit of controversy right now.
Whew.
Give me the Los Angeles Chargers at number 8.
Oh, come on. Dude,
Chargers do not belong.
they don't have an offense.
All right,
it was
guys.
the same problems I was telling you before we ever filmed any of this.
Right.
Here, folks.
But based off of what you were telling me were their issues, they should be 0-5 currently right now, and they're not.
I wouldn't even go that far.
So
They
listen,
should be 0-5.
so-
but at the same time, this Charger offense is relying on Justin Herbert. That is it.
I disagree.
And Herbert is also injured.
I disagree. I think this is a team that knows their identity.
No, definitely
I
not.
think this is a team who absolutely knows their identity.
Offensively,
Greg
does
Roman,
not
though.
know
They're
their- they do not know their identity.
This is a team that knows their identity. They're right now currently, listen, this is not the Chargers team of the old where they're relying heavily on Justin Herbert anymore. This is a team that is dedicated to playing smash mouth football. They're going to run
This
J.K.
isn't
Dobbins.
Michigan.
Listen,
They're going to be running J.K. Dobbins into absolute oblivion. Listen, this is a team, listen, I'm just going to let you know straight up, like Chiefs are everybody's team to like make it to the Super Bowl, right? Super Bowl favorites, right?
Plot
Yeah,
armor.
okay. Well, guess what? Oh, you could say plot armor all you want. They're everyone's top pick to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The reality of the situation is they played them real tough. They've played every team tough. I think this is a team that, even as they go on later in the year, are going to find their identity. Jim Harbaugh is their rock. I trust Harbaugh the more than I trust any issues that the Chargers have.
I do like what Harbaugh's done with Herbert. He seems to have given him a fire, so to speak. You see him on the sidelines getting passionate.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But they
What?
don't have an identity. And also, I
I
still
disagree.
worry about
I think it does
worry
hinder
about
them.
I worry about their health as well. Because this is a unit
This
that
is true.
year in, year out, regardless of what side of the ball it is, they get injured. And they're a few injuries away from falling apart.
True, but
Look at J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah,
They just signed him. That guy has a huge injury history.
But,
Yeah, I know.
but
Well,
granted, he's had a good
J.K.
year.
Dobbins
No,
has
yeah,
had a
for
great
sure.
year.
For sure.
And I think that's the identity of the team. They want to run the football. They have Justin Herbert. He's the most talented young quarterback
They're not
in the
able to run
league.
play action.
Well, that's something that needs to be developed over time. Yes, but I trust their coach. I trust the team's identity. Their team's identity is running the football, and it's Jim Harbaugh. Look at what he's done in Michigan. Look at what he's done in San Francisco.
Greg Roman.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I understand that. Greg Roman is tough. Greg Roman is not the strongest offensive coordinator. But
But he does run the ball well.
he does run the ball well. His
He
run
runs
schemes
his
are one of the
schemes, yeah.
best in the league, And listen, he's lost a couple games to a pair of tough defenses in the Chiefs and the Steelers. But the reality is, they face the Steelers again. I like their chances. They faced
With healthy Herbert, I can't disagree with that.
and that was with Herbert literally hopping around, basically a statue in the pocket. So that's my point of view on that. So that's my point of view on that.
Yeah.
You're also going up against Kansas City again. Harbaugh's only going to get better. He's only going to have more influence in this team. And because of that, Chargers are my number 8.
We'll see. They're still playing in a tough AFC.
Yeah. Coming in at number 7, I got the Green Bay Packers. Reality is,
I feel like it's low.
Green Bay with Jordan Love or Green Bay with Malik Willis?
Green Bay with that's again Green Bay with Jordan Love. I feel like Jordan Love finally looked like he was a little more confident this week.
Technically speaking.
It is.
This is true, but I feel like Green Bay. Jordan Love actually looked like he was actually comfortable in the offense
Right.
again. Not playing from behind, actually able to sort of settle down, get into the script. Obviously, the couple of games that he did play this year was basically extremely offensive heavy, extremely pass heavy. This was Jordan Love at his best. And Green Bay's defense has taken massive leaps from last year to where they were absolutely atrocious. You still want them to be better.
Yes. I mean,
But they
you
do-
want Christian Watson
Yeah.
to show up for them. I mean, I know last week was somewhat better
Yeah.
for him, but as far as Jalen Reed stepped up, I think
Jalen,
This is all
can we
Romeo Dobbs.
Can we
and
talk
Romeo
about
Dobbs as
can we
well.
talk
Fit.
about Jalen Reed having an absolute
Yeah.
stellar year right now too, dude?
Yes.
The reality is that the Green Bay Packers are one of the youngest teams in the NFL, and they are surging.
and they're on the upswing.
They're on the upswing. So that's my reason.
And with Love getting injured
Yeah.
and Willis coming in, it's just a testament to how good this offense is.
Yeah, and not to mention that I think Matt LaFleur is one of the most
there you go.
underrated head coaches in
And
the league.
Lambeau's going to get tougher, especially as the weather gets colder.
Yeah, and then, I mean, like I said, I think Matt LaFleur is one of the most underrated head coaches in the league. I mean, you saw Mike McCarthy, who's making sure that the Cowboys stay absolutely irrelevant.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw him basically drowning to try to make Aaron Rodgers get to the playoffs.
Yeah.
The second Matt LaFleur steps in there, they're consistently winning 14, 15 games a year, which is, like I said, testament to that coaching staff. And
even after Rodgers going,
yeah.
They need to try to find a win a playoff game.
They do, but that comes with age. It comes with age, and look at what they did. They already beat the Cowboys. You know, like I said, they're
right
on
now
the
everybody's beating the Cowboys
except the Steelers. But
honestly, if I'm being honest, and this might be another hot take, I wouldn't be surprised. Listen, I wouldn't be surprised if they show their youth and inexperience and they end up being like 5 or 6 seed. I would also not be surprised if somehow they get hot late and the NFC goes through Lambeau Field.
Ooh.
That's the reality of the situation.
So they could be as high as 1 and they could be as low as 5 and 6.
Truly. All right. So coming in at number 6, give me Baker Mayfield on the Bucks.
Ooh, I love it.
I love it. Come on,
I'm a
man.
big Baker Mayfield
I actually
guy,
like that.
Yeah, this is a team that, if you want to talk about, at least in my perspective, this is a team that knows their identity.
Yes.
Short, intermediate passes. Baker Mayfield is absolutely clinical when it comes to the middle of the
But
field.
they can also take shots, especially Mike Evans is still one of the best jump ball receivers.
Exactly.
Chris Godwin is a great support in that number 2 spot.
Some of the best weapons in the league. Rashad White's still pretty solid. I know he's dealing with a hamstring, but then you get guys like Bucky Irving who are taking up that place too,
But
sharing a workload.
Baker's also doing a really good job. I mean, even if he's struggling, like I know last week was not his best performance. I mean, he threw 2 picks in that game. He still answered the bell. He still helped them win that game.
Yeah. And I will say that, like, straight up, that Thursday night game against Atlanta, probably the best looking team ever in a loss this year.
Yeah.
That was
had to be.
So far is probably the game of the year right now.
I would have to say absolutely
Falcons
yes.
turning it on for some reason.
Well,
Truly.
I don't know what's going on with Atlanta, but
It's tough.
Yeah,
it's tough.
It's tough.
You're gonna be really disappointed.
Just give it to me.
Because all right.
I'm gonna rip it off. Like a Band-Aid.
No. I'm just saying.
You've already ticked me off with the Chargers pick. Let's just get into it. Seriously.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
Cleveland Browns.
All right, let's go.
If it's the Cleveland Browns, I'm quitting. I'm walking out the door.
No, Houston Texans.
Okay.
Houston Texans at 5. All right. So the thing with the Houston Texans, listen, I was one of the.
Could be better.
They could be better. They're definitely getting better. I mean, I think they get more comfortable every single week. I mean, there's a lot of moving pieces with this team right now. I mean, especially with
Collins right now.
But Stephon Diggs, I think that helps out Stephon Diggs tremendously from getting the ball a lot more. I do worry a little bit just because of Stephon Diggs' history.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of mouths to feed on that team.
There's
But
potential for drama.
if I'm being honest, man, like I trust them. I trust them a lot.
I don't think you have anything to worry about with Diggs. Like, the first year in, he'll be fine. It's just
year 2,
it's
year 3.
Yeah. Really, nothing I can say. CJ Stroud looks like a top 5 quarterback.
Of course.
Yes.
We all agree.
Yeah. So I don't think I need to stress anything more. Coming in at number 4, give me the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to be completely honest.
Too many weapons.
Too many weapons. Zay Flowers is finally picking it up too.
Henry is absolutely
Derrick Henry. Who could have seen that coming?
Everybody.
I wasn't big on Derrick Henry signing, but you know what? He proved me wrong. All right. I thought he was gonna be. I thought he was moving on at that point in his career where he's like a 500-yard guy and like 10 touchdowns. But that's clearly just not the case.
And then you look at their tight ends.
Yeah.
Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely.
Yeah.
Likely, I did not expect. Even coming into this year,
Likely's humbled down a little bit after week 1.
Yeah, that week 1 was it was different.
He's literally like a toe away from making one of the greatest catches
but
and one of the greatest comebacks.
But the Ravens, man, let me tell you, man, they're a team that just consistently beats teams. Like, can they just finish the deal in the postseason?
Well,
That's going to be the big.
Can they just beat the Chiefs?
Can they beat the Chiefs?
They find ways, but also they have a history of this, of choking away big leads as well.
Yeah.
That needs to stop.
Yes.
Especially like, hey, you cannot have repeats of like games where you're up by 28 or 30, 31.
And I would say
choking them away.
And I would say the Dallas game is a prime example of that, where they were up early and then they let Dallas climb their way back in.
Exactly. You gotta put them away.
Yeah. Coming in number 3, give me the Minnesota Vikings.
Wow. I thought they would be 2.
You know,
at least 2.
My issue is this. My issue is
they're still the Vikings.
They're still the Vikings. No. But my issue is this.
It is Sam Darnold.
Their defense is prime, and their defense is always going to keep them into games.
Yeah.
Especially with Brian Flores, what he's done with that defensive side of the football is just absolutely clinical. I mean, what he did to C.J. Stroud and the Texans.
That's Van Ginkel.
What he did to Kyle Shanahan offense.
Yeah, revamped them.
Yeah, absolutely revamped them. And
That's Andrew Van Ginkel.
You know, you're getting guys like Cam Bynum. Obviously, Harrison Smith's been there forever.
Yes.
I mean, just absolutely. I mean, you can't get enough. I think though we're starting to see the slow decline of the offensive side of the ball. Listen, Kevin O'Connell's going to do his thing.
Yes.
But the reality is you can only elevate Sam Darnold
You can't keep it up forever.
as much as you can. And I'm a big fan of Darnold, and I hope that he ends up being like a Geno Smith type where he's could be a quarterback for like 3 years for a franchise. But at least in the Jets game, and I know the Jets are a great defense on their own, like on to give them their own respect, but I do think we're starting to see a little bit of a slowdown when it comes to Sam Darnold's production.
I mean, it will be interesting when they next season on who will play quarterback.
Oh, McCarthy or
because you still have a rookie QB that's waiting in the wings.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Not to mention you only have Darnold for a year. He's gonna want some money now.
Exactly.
You know.
Absolutely, and he deserves it at this point.
Yeah, he does. To his credit, right now at this moment, he deserves his money.
So he'll just fall apart as the season goes on.
We'll see how that goes. But yeah, you know,
Viking fans have something to be looking forward to in the future.
Truly. All right, coming in at number 2, give me the Detroit Lions.
Even with Aiden Hutchinson down.
I see it. Yeah, even with Hutchinson down.
My biggest concern is going to be their defensive side of the football, especially now with Hutchinson going down. I mean, they were letting Seattle just score on them constantly on that Monday night game. Obviously, Dallas, I really like that performance against Dallas. Their pass rush is going to be the most concerning thing.
But I don't think it's going to hinder them all that much.
No, well, listen, when
their offense is so well run.
But I think their secondary is also going to pay the price for it too.
That is true.
Because last year, they weren't really good at coverage, and a lot of it is because their pass rush this year has been really good.
And pressure makes picks.
Exactly, pressure makes picks. Pressure forces mistakes.
Exactly.
Now you're not getting that pressure as consistent.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's gonna be real interesting to see how they do. But when you have Jared Goff consistently going like 18 for 18, 295 yards,
they also have a good rushing game.
Their offensive powerhouse, not to mention that two-headed backfield monster, Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. I mean, I think at this point they're gonna have to start thinking about how their offense is their defense
Pretty
in
much.
some of these games.
Just gonna have to control the clock, either that or be ready for a shootout.
Yeah. Coming in at number 1, no surprise at all, Kansas City Chiefs. Listen, I understand.
I disagree.
Listen. I understand. I understand that they have not looked good in 4 of their 5 games.
A lot of ref help, some would say.
A lot of ref ball helps, but I think it's starting to get to the point where they need to lose.
They do.
If you're going to knock them off the one spot. Listen, I think it's coming too. I think the Niners have a great chance this Sunday to pull that off. We'll see what happens. But listen,
it's going to be their biggest test.
There's a reason why the Dolphins are the only team that have gone undefeated. So we'll see what happens.
But that's 72-73.
But yeah, notable teams that I have not put on my list, guys. What are we thinking? We obviously got. I know Zach's already eyeing me right now with the Steelers.
Them Pittsburgh Steelers, man.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me. What do you think?
Well, the only concern I have really with the Steelers right now is the wide receiver too. They don't have one.
Mm-hmm.
All they have is George Pickens, and he seems to lose focus every other game.
The thing is, though, you have a really good tight end in Pat Fire.
Yeah, he's become our second actually.
Yeah.
To be truthful, but still, it's just not enough to.
And Najee had a really good run
to make anything meaningful happen on offense. We consistently score 13 to 17 points a game in the NFL, and that doesn't cut it.
You need.
Thankfully, we have like an amazing defense that limits teams to like 10 or 13 points.
Yeah.
But in the long run, it's just not going to help.
My issue is also I have very high concern as to why Mike Tomlin has not committed fully to Justin Fields as quarterback.
I would agree.
The age-old saying, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. So that's kind of where I'm at with the Steelers.
And why the switch, especially this late in the year? It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. And I honestly, when Fields was starting, he's currently now benched for Russell Wilson. I would have said just trade Russell Wilson, use him as trade value for something like a Devontae Adams, who's now on the Jets, unfortunately. But that would have been, good trade value for the Raiders, who don't have a QB currently. So,
if it does make you feel any better, the Steelers were my 11. I just can't put them top 10 due to that reason.
I appreciate that.
notable missing team from the list, Atlanta Falcons.
Ooh,
yeah.
yeah.
I'm going to be completely honest.
They're
At this
too
point,
inconsistent.
my thought process in this is more along the lines of there's too many teams that I feel like have been control of all of their games. Don't get me wrong, Kirk Cousins is getting hot.
Yes.
But I need to see more. This is a team. The reality is this: the difference between the Texans, who I have in my top 5, versus the Falcons, who are two teams that, let's just say this, won the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is that the Texans, through 6 games, I could say, look like one of the better teams in football.
They're going to run away with the South.
They're going to run away with the South, absolutely. Especially with the struggling Anthony Richardson. Possibly they ride out with Joe Flacco for the Colts, too.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence, man, who saw that coming? I mean, just an absolute.
He's fallen off a cliff.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, he did have a good game last week, but
Still, I mean,
It's
the
not-
damage is done.
it's not good enough. I mean, this was a guy that was
Generational, yeah.
Exactly, he was supposed to be the next Peyton Manning,
Yeah.
and instead it just.
I mean, honestly, we just have to stop labeling all these quarterbacks as generational.
No, exactly.
Every single one that comes
They're
out.
just-
It's
there's
starting
too
to
much
lose the meaning
pressure.
of
it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not everybody's Peyton Manning. Not everybody's Tom Brady. They're one of ones.
Yeah, but the issue with the Falcons is the Falcons have just been absolutely inconsistent on the defensive end.
Well, I mean, Drake London disappears. Kyle
Yeah.
Pitts disappears.
Don't get me wrong; these last two
Bijan
games,
Robinson is not getting enough touches.
have been one of their 2 best games of the year. Obviously against the
Bijan
Bucks,
played well, too.
Yeah.
Bijan played well. They absolutely destroyed the Panthers. Their only issue is
It's
the
the
Panthers.
Yes, 32 of 32.
That's to be expected.
Yeah, but that's really all I have. I mean, anything else you guys see? Anything you want to question me on?
No, man.
What
all
was
I
the
gotta
most
say-
What was the most controversial pick on the list? What would you say?
Chargers.
Yeah, Chargers is definitely up there for me too because
I was actually.
I just don't see.
Did you even mention the Commanders?
I
Oh,
didn't.
he didn't.
I
Yeah.
didn't.
That should be 11 if you're
Wow.
not going to top
Exactly.
10.
Oh my gosh. You know what? I will say this. I think this is honestly a testament to how much parity there is in the NFL this season.
Yeah.
The fact that I just completely glossed over the Commanders, which honestly, that's a team who I feel like can beat any of those teams up there.
Well, here's my issue again. Commanders, you've lost your 2 games against really good opponents. You lost to the Bucks week 1, and then you just lost last week against the Ravens.
Yeah. And
And
to what?
granted, it was a close game. Both games were fairly close. I mean, just like how I'm a Miami Dolphin fan and everybody loves to be like, oh yeah, no, you guys can't beat the best teams.
Mhm.
Like if you look at Mike's record against good teams, terrible. So it's going to be the same questions for the Commanders. Can you beat a playoff caliber team?
One thing I will say against a team that you could really compare Washington to is going to be the Green Bay Packers. I've seen the Green Bay Packers do it. I have not seen the Washington Commanders do it yet.
Yeah.
Now, I do like that game last week against the Ravens because it didn't look like they were too overwhelmed. So there is a lot of potential there. Man, I'm not going to lie. I completely glossed over them.
And the idea with these power rankings is things are going to shift up and down as the season goes on. You can't
Exactly.
completely predict everything, otherwise it would be a lot more boring. So, in other words, this is just this is a great start for me.
And granted,
Yeah.
things happen.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a wrap on today for the Fall Boys podcast, guys. Everybody, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys join us next week for next week's episode as we break down the current state of affairs in the NFL. As we approach the trade deadline, which is going to be absolutely insane, guys. I hope you guys have a great day. Until next time, peace.